I know, but they're all in front of me.
Here we go. All right, everybody, we are here this month with Nathan, the profit generator. Do you want to tell us a bit about who you are, what you do, and what you stand for, Nathan?
Thank you so much for having me to start with, Laura. But look, I am an accountant, and please don't judge me because of that. But I'm not like every other accountant out there. I promise you that I'm not a dull, boring. Don't associate me with accountants and dentists. I don't know. But anyway, look, we've got an accounting practice. I've been established for 8 years, or coming up to 8 years rather, in July. And I guess what we do differently in our accounting practice is it's, as per the sign behind us, is we actually, do give about our clients. And I guess, we sort of incorporate, especially with our business clients, the Profit First program. And yeah, it's just about sort of going that extra mile. I mean, because I think for businesses out there, right, they just don't need a tax agent that just lodges returns, which is what a lot of tax agents do, right? The next step really is to kind of have an accountant, or an accountant you do want is someone that actually can give you advice and tell you the things you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And I guess for me, my journey, it was probably when I came to about 7 years into, for about 6 years, I sort of stumbled across Profit First, and it was like, this is a great cash flow system that clients can understand, because the reality is our clients that come to us, they don't have accounting degrees. They don't want to be accountants either, by the way, but they still need a system where they can still pay their bills on time, but then also, most importantly, actually eliminate, SME poverty, generate a profit and make money, because that's why generally a lot of people go into business, right?
Absolutely. And I guess what I see happen time and time again is that people reach out to their advisor, their tax agent, their accountant, wanting help. And then the common, I guess, comment that I hear is, I still don't know what I'm doing. I still don't have the support. I don't understand what's going on in my business. And so what is it that you do differently, and when do you, I guess, offer Profit First as a solution or one of the tools that you work with?
Look, it really depends. I mean, like with where the client is actually at in their business life cycle. So even if a business comes to me and they're at startup phase, I mean, we probably don't go as full into Profit First as a program as maybe someone who's really established, but we still set up the foundations of Profit First. And I'm a big believer of that if we start with the foundations, do everything right to start with, it starts you off on the right foot. And the reason I find that that's really important to do is because if you don't have the right foundations in place, you start operating your business after 1 or 2 years and you find that you've got all these, liabilities, money that you owe, which could be anything from super to GST, other taxes, or even like maybe even owing money to your creditors. So people that, you've bought, items off in your business. And, after a couple of years, you sort of, because these foundations haven't been set, you become a business client that, or a business that is just stressed about, how you operate your business. And setting the foundation right means basically that you're not going to get yourself in a position where you hate your business after about 3 or 4 years of being in it. Right?
It's so true. That 4 or 5 year mark is where I see the burnout really happen for business owners. Do you find that that's a similar thing? And you also mentioned that you like to do this in terms of setting the foundation, even with startup. Your introduction to Profit First was obviously later on in your business. And so I'd love to just dive in behind the scenes to understand what your own experience was with implementing Profit First and, I guess, changing your mindset around things.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that no accountant should ever really admit, but we often get payment arrangements for our clients with the ATO, and I found myself in a position where I had a payment arrangement, and it was one of those things where I always, even like when Mike talks in the book at Profit First about looking at your bank account all the time, and I'm one of those. I actually looked at my bank and I would sort of go around. I had this figure in my head. And when we were a bit smaller, the figure for me in my head was that we had to have 20 grand in the bank account. And I probably didn't really get scared about, what that was in the account until we hit down to about 5,000, and I'd be like, oh, geez, now we've got to start moving. And the reality was, here I am, an accountant, and I've got a payment arrangement, to pay the ATO back money, and then also have to pay them. Also, then, and the way a payment arrangement works with the ATO is that when you have that arrangement set up, any future liabilities that come up, so any future BAS payments that come up, you have to pay them when they're due. So you can't fall back again and keep doing another payment arrangement. And it just so happened that, I heard a contact of mine on a podcast talking about Profit First. And I'm like, oh, this sounds like a really good book. And it just made sense to me. It was like this whole light bulb moment. It was almost like the same light bulb moment I had when I was back in the early years discovering what debits and credits are. Debits and credits are really confusing. And I spent probably a year doing debits and credits and just being told that, it was like this rote learning that that sales are a credit and, and then expenses are a debit, blah, blah. But it wasn't until one day this light bulb, after about a year of doing that, went, oh, that makes sense. Right. But same with Profit First. It was, for me, like, my parents always did this thing where they used to put money in different envelopes. So mum was a cleaner, and she would put money aside. Her envelopes were the fun envelopes. It was holidays, birthdays, and just a little bit of overflow. Dad's envelopes were probably still more essential. It was like paying the bills, food for the week for the family, and I know that, Dad always said, it just made sense to him. That's what he got taught actually by his uncle, who was an accountant. This is what you do. Whenever he had a bill come through, he had the money to pay for it straight away. It was just done. To him as well, back in it would have been sort of the 80s and even the 90s, he'd say that, people would go out and be buying TVs and this and that. And he goes, well, I just can't afford that, because he knew with his budget, with his envelopes, that money just wasn't there. But whereas I think other people find themselves in strife, especially in the 80s, there was a lot of, it was a tough time during the 80s.
Sure was.
But other people find themselves in financial stress because they didn't have a system. So even my dad didn't know he had a system. My dad is a blue collar worker. He drives trucks, but it worked for him. So if it worked for him, it's just that Profit First is probably just taking that next step and having a bit more of a system around it and adopting it for business. So for me, it was automatically, when I heard about Profit First, it just made sense because I already kind of lived it in some sense, but now had to adopt it in my own business. And it really saved me. It saved me, from in many sense, in many ways.
So I do want to dive into that just a little bit. And my question to you is, how long did this take? So you have obviously shared, and thank you for sharing, that you had an ATO payment plan that you needed to pay off as well as meet future obligations with the ATO. Was there anything else that you were hoping to achieve in terms of finances? I know that now you're in a different position to what you were when you first started. What were the other things that you noticed, and how long did it take you to really, I guess, turn a corner with it?
So it was probably about year 6 of business that I adopted it. And I think probably like a lot of people, I actually read the book probably in about my 5th year of business, and then didn't do anything for a good year on it. And then I just kind of implemented it. And I also put myself through the Profit First program. There's an actual program where, no one just off the street can just adopt run the program. So I guess if I'm going to talk the talk, I've got to walk the walk, right?
Absolutely.
So how long did I see before benefits started coming through? Probably started to see real benefit. Like the first 6 months, I could start seeing benefits, but it was probably not a year. It's not till you have a whole year cycle that I've noticed the benefits, because it's when you get to the end and you've got tax bills to pay. And I know as well, like with my business as well, for some reason, I don't know why I do this, but the end of May, June is when I get all these huge bills. And it was always one of those things where it's like, I used to say to my insurance broker, you just dried my bank account of about $15,000. Thank you very much. She used to always say, you can fee fund that, you can finance it. I was like, no, I'll just pay it out. But I'd have no money in my account. But then in the first year of Profit First, so it probably would have been the 11th month of Profit First operating it, I had the money there. I had the money to pay. And
what
it was
a relief.
No issue.
And it didn't drain your bank completely?
Look, it didn't drain the bank. There were still funds left over. It's given me the ability to make decisions for the business where, for the first time in my business, we've decided to sponsor a sporting team. So we sponsor the NBL One Sutherland Sharks here in the Shire.
That's awesome.
And that I won't disclose the figure, but the sponsorship we did was just under 10K. So we've sponsored a player, we've sponsored the team. Now, before Profit First sort of came about, I wouldn't have had that cash to do that. So it's given me this opportunity to go, well, now I can put more money back into the business that's already there for the business, and take us to into the next chapter.
So you're starting to see the impact as well that you can have, not just in terms of within your business, but other things that are important to you and what you stand for. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. And that's, but you know what? It's now I've learnt these rules, and I've learnt a way to actually make business work properly, which is this, it makes business work properly, right? And do all the things you want to do. And for me now, it's like, well, it works for me. Why can't it work for all my clients?
And what have you found with your clients? So you've obviously implemented it with, some of your clients. Has it been a particular type of client, or have you rolled it out over the board?
Look, it's been a particular type where I've seen that they've had issues that we need to address. That's been my tactic. But I've also noticed as well that there have been some clients there where we've talked about it and they've pushed back. They've gone, oh, no, it just won't work in my business. And I've had that quite a bit. And one of the ways I've sort of combated that is to really coach them through just initially that, it's really probably their fear of success and other different mindset matters. And look, they're just not, for some people, they're just not ready, right, to take on the program. But
absolutely,
for a lot of people, like it works for everyone. Because
I agree.
There's businesses all over the globe here that are using it, and they're all having success stories out of it. Like if you do a search on YouTube, you don't see someone posting a YouTube video talking about how I got the Profit First and it didn't work for me. Yeah.
Now you're going to have people searching for that, and I would love to see the comments of people being able to find things. But I agree with you. What I've found is that the people that don't implement Profit First in the way it should be implemented, or with the guidance of a Profit First professional, then it falls over because and I'm going to bring up your point around the mindset thing, is that it's the mindset that trips us. It's the mindset that, we think, well, I've always done it this way and it's not that bad because it's familiar. Doesn't mean it's going to get you to be, that profitability and that cash flow level that you need to be at. And so what are the main fears that you've noticed when people kind of push back?
I had one client in particular, he was saying that, he was basically saying that, look, it just wouldn't work for us because we got to pay all these expenses out, and we're going to have to, it's just not going to work for us because we've got too many liabilities out, too many amounts outstanding. And I think what they present themselves as is just present financial arguments that just once again come back to this mindset issue where I think it's just almost like they don't want to succeed. There's one client I've got in particular where I know the husband wants to adopt it, but the wife doesn't. Because for the wife, if she adopts it, it means all that crazy spending that I'm sorry, I don't want to stereotype, but this is just a real case scenario where the wife just wants to go on holidays everywhere and just wants to spend money on this, money on that. But, whereas the husband's like, we need to do it. But they're both, if we're going to adopt it, both need to be on board.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing is the stress. Do you know what I mean? Like one person, and let's talk about that for a second, because the one thing that I've noticed with my clients, and even with working with other Profit First professionals, is that our level, just like we have different risk profiles, we have the same with our stress. And so for one person, whether it's husband or wife, it may be okay because they have this thought that no matter how stressful it gets, it's all going to work out. And the other person who stresses about the fact that they can see that the money isn't there for the things that they need and it falls to them, aren't going to approach things the same way. And so one of the biggest things that I noticed anyway with implementing Profit First is, yes, it is a cash flow methodology, but you have to work with that mindset first. So this case that you've shared, Nathan, is a great highlight around mindsets that can be at play and having to overcome or work with it to be able to then implement the system. Because if you're not committed, it doesn't work. Has that been your finding as well?
Yeah, but that's with anything. I mean, that's with everything in life in general. But like, yeah, if you're not committed to it, I mean, look, there's at times where I look at one of my accounts and go, "There's quite a lot of cash in it. Maybe I should just cheat."
Yeah.
And it's very tempting.
Yeah.
And even for the clients who are on it, like I got to remind them, well, no, it's not something you want to do. Luckily, no one's sort of tested me on that one, but like, you know, because I get access to their Xero file, so I get to see everything that's going on anyway. Maybe they're just scared of, you know, upsetting, like it's like the school principal theory. But yeah, yeah, I think really, I mean, with the clients that I've implemented with, we've had some really good success stories. We've had, you know, clients where they've been spending more money in the business than they earn, and you know, reducing and eliminating expense that they don't need. And then the other aspect as well is some is a bit of both. I mean, like we look at as well their revenue model. So, you know, and this is what an accountant should really do. They should be really helping a client understand how they're generating their revenue, and you know, implementing something like Profit First and even just getting an initial assessment will help you work out with the person you're working with, whether it's me or another Profit First professional, whether, you know, it could be something like why aren't you generating a good profit? Why isn't the business looking healthier than what it could be? You know, do you need to increase your revenue? Are you undercharging? Is there a better way to earn your revenue? Right?
Absolutely.
And then that challenges, like when you start thinking about, is there a better way to increase your revenue? You start thinking about, well, is there better ways for me to charge, better ways to do it? Now I'm actually challenging you to think about ways to become more efficient. Right? And this is, so it's just not, it's like, yeah, sure, we're saying it's a cash flow system, but it's so much more than that. Because now we're implementing strategies to get to that point where you do have a healthy business.
Absolutely. And I think this is one of the biggest objections that I hear is that, well, if you implement Profit First, you can't grow. And what you've just shared, Nathan, is the complete opposite to that. That by having this framework, which essentially when you've got the money there, it trickles down into the areas that you need it to go, you know, based on the purpose of each account and what you're trying to achieve in your business. But without that, how easy would it be for people to implement these strategies that you're talking about?
Look, I mean, I think the problem would be there is, I mean, look, I think a lot of people experience, like I've had as a child, you know, separating money in different accounts. I think you'll find that a lot of people just don't do it because they haven't had anyone, you know, present it to you and say, this is what you got to do. Look, you really could probably do it yourself, but I don't think that doing it by yourself, it's going to be a lot of guesswork. And the way I sort of sell it is that, yeah, you can do it by yourself. By all means, go and read the book and you know, Profit First by Mike. And if you do, great. But you know what, like, depending on where your business is, but like, it's probably best to actually get a professional to come in and help you who's actually trained to know the program so that you can get the best out of the system sooner.
I love that.
So,
and that's it.
Yeah, and this is one of these things where sometimes you've got to spend money to make money. So I think the problem is a lot of clients that we have that actually need it, there's a lot of pain, and they kind of see it's like, oh, another expense I need to outlay. But this is actually an expense that's going to help turn your business around. So, you know, if you engage a Profit First professional, they're going to, you know, help you do what you need to do sooner. And then that's going to reduce, you know, it's going to reduce any any failure in your business, any further failure in your business.
It also means that you can pivot a lot sooner as well, I find. So like, yes, once you have the clarity around what's not working, you can then make decisions quickly around what needs to happen, even if it's completely different to what you thought you needed to do. And I guess you would never get that from a book. The only way you're going to get that is by working with a professional.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's face it. It's just if you're working by yourself, it's just you. If you're working with a proper first, professional coach, which is essentially what we're doing, we're coaching you through your business. That's going to get you. It's going to get to that point where you can have choices of where you want to pivot the business. Just the same as we look at all the sporting teams are out there. Let's just talk about sports for a second.
Perfect.
So you're from Melbourne. I'm going to. What's your favorite AFL team?
I don't want to disclose that because you're going to ridicule me, Nathan.
Well, okay, let's not disclose that then, and we can just think of it. Yeah. But I'm just going to say, look, let's hope that it's maybe Geelong because I know you.
Let's do that. Sounds good.
Look, they're a trustworthy team, but look, I mean, the successes that Geelong has had has been because they have a coach, they have a whole team of people behind them to make the most out of, the individual player. If the team just turned up and just went around and just did it themselves and just kind of just essentially had no plan. Do you think they would have won all those premierships? Or do you think they would have won so many games over the years? Do you think they would be a successful team?
No, absolutely not. You need to have the driving force that has that game plan that can direct what needs to happen and use people's, strengths to get there sooner.
So then the question is, well, okay, so a professional team, even like, my kids' soccer team, they're only 5. They're all got a coach. So why don't businesses, and this is just a question that everyone can ponder at home, leave a comment in the video here, but why don't you and your business have someone that can help you? Not an accountant who just lodges tax returns, because that's not really doing much for you. That's just saying, hey, end of the year, you owe X amount of tax. Good, you made a profit, fantastic. Or you made a loss, try harder next year. Have a coach in your life, and whether that's even just a business coach, a profit professional, can't even get it out, a PFP like me. That's why we say PFPs. And then that will help you excel to the next chapter in your business. So pivot and make give you the option to make choices in your business.
The other thing that I'd like to add there as well, Nathan, is you're completely spot on, but every single PFP has some kind of coach or mentor, whether it's within, Profit First Professionals Australia or outside of it, because we are wanting to better ourselves in our business so that we can help more people. So the fact that you're not just telling people that's what they need, you're actually walking the talk, not just with implementing Profit First, but also having that coach.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, I got 2 coaches. I got my general business coach. I have a marketing coach. But even like with the PFP, the community, I mean, we're all accountable to each other as well. And,
Totally.
And I attend meetings with you guys to sort of learn more about how I can be better in my role and serve my clients better.
Absolutely. And so have you seen growth yourself with implementing Profit First?
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about that. Like, and you can tell just with my big smile, but it definitely have. I mean, like I still run a budget. I still have an idea of KPIs and figures that we want to hit each month.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably been the last 12 months that we've really, just absolutely blossomed. Every month we've made our budget.
Yes.
And then I've done, it's even challenged my mindset about like what I do. Like I said to my staff, like, it's not fair that I go and take, a profit distribution every quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to them, hey, do you want to come on the journey as well? So now I've shifted their mindset about what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they get a part of the share of the profit as well in the company.
I love that. And so can we talk to that? Because I really do think that a lot of people don't realize the potential and how much you can tailor this. So you've just shared, and I love that you brought this up, that you've basically said to your team who you couldn't do your business without. That's it. Let's get real for a second.
Yeah, 100%.
that this is the journey, are they on board, and this is how we're going to make it work. So can you talk about technically what that looks like from a profit first perspective?
So, okay, so we've got a written procedure. It's actually documented within our business.
Love it.
And it says that if you basically do at least 25 hours a week here as an employee, and you've been here for at least more than 3 months, and you've worked the whole quarter, then what will happen is, like, going into my profit distribution account, I have 3% of my real revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and of that, I keep 1% goes to my staff, 1% goes to me. So with the 1%, like the 1% for the staff, it gets prorated based on the number of staff members that are eligible. And then the final 1% is left for what I would call in the account for a rainy day.
Love it. And so what has that done for some of your staff?
Well, it meant, like, I mean, what I was doing to try to get them excited and motivated was, giving them this and that. But now it's very clear and defined about what it is. I mean, when I say this and that, like I was saying, oh, this month we're going to go out for lunch, or next month you get, all get a massage each. But for me, it was just like, well, let's just have a clear guideline on what it is that I expect for them to then go and get that reward. And
beautiful.
And like, what have I seen? What are the fruits from doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, like, as an example, my senior accountant, Catherine, she was worried on Sunday that she hadn't had enough work done for the week. And she was like, look, I just wanted, and she had some spare time and wanted to get away from the family. So she committed just, a few hours just tidying up a few things on a Sunday night. And I think what has happened is it's then kind of gone, well, she's thinking like, well, this is a team environment, right? I haven't done what I was supposed to have done during the week. I haven't played up to my end of the bargain. So I'm just going to put a little bit more in and then get to that common goal, which is, hitting our target, our KPI revenue each month.
Love it. Yeah, it's so true. I do a similar thing within my businesses as well. And the extra step that we take is, well, what's the purpose of this for the employees? What are they hoping to achieve in their lives? And can this business be a vehicle to that? And there's no way I could have put a framework like this in place without Profit First. It just isn't clear. It can be really sort of grey around what a person needs to do and how they need to do it. Whereas with the Profit First and the profit distribution in particular, it's so clear and everyone knows where they stand, which again is similar to our clients. Once you get that clarity, you can make really great decisions.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something you can do. It doesn't matter what business you got. You could be running a cafe. You could do the same thing with your staff. I mean, and it gets, I mean, let's say, for example, a cafe, that is high staff turnover.
Totally.
Staff will come and go, but like your customers, if you find someone that you really like, that treats your customers also replicates basically how you would treat a customer, you want to hold on to that employee. So if they know they're part of the bigger picture, see, I've always been like, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a bit younger or because, like, I don't think like someone who's 20 years older than me, but I share all my financials with my staff. I don't hide it.
I love that.
Right? There's no point hiding it, because if you start hiding the numbers from your staff members, well, they're just going to start guessing and assuming themselves where it might be, and it probably won't be true. So if you say, for example, like, you got your best employee who's got a coffee shop. Oh, sorry, you got a coffee shop, and your best employee who works in your coffee shop, they see the money coming in all the time, and there might be, each week there might be $10,000 of revenue. They just see $10,000.
It's true.
But
Absolutely.
if you can, you don't have to give them like, I don't share, for example, what each employee earns here, because that would be disrespectful to each staff member. Like, they don't want to share that information because it's personal and private. But if we go back to the coffee shop there, if you said, well, hey, this is kind of like what we've made after, like, maybe this is our gross profit for the week, right? After paying just very like, high level, not detailed, sort of, this is the wages, what we make each week. And then when they see that, hey, that, maybe we only make, for the owner, $2,000 a week, change their perception. But then also, if you can sort of say, hey, I'm going to get you on this profit first journey with me, and I want to increase this revenue, because the reality is if we earn more money, I can pay you more money, I can earn more money, so it's a win-win for everyone. So let's set up a little bit of a system where everyone wins. And I think, thinking about incentivizing staff is so important, because you want to retain them. They're your best guys. They're the guys who help you make the money in the business. Without them, you're not going to be opening up your coffee shop, because
It's true.
or you can't open it, but you're going to have a whole lot of disgruntled customers because they're not going to wait more than 5 minutes for a coffee.
5 minutes? What do you mean 5 minutes? Even that's too long, Nathan. But I get your point, and I so thank you for sharing that, because we can go on about the I guess specifics and logistics and all of that of Profit First, but it's not going to give the same impact as sharing as openly as you have about what it is that you're doing in your business and how it's turned, your initial situation to where you are now, and the fact that you're hitting your KPIs and you've got your staff completely on the journey with you to reach the goals that you're striving for. And if it can be done in your business, it can be done in any business. So I really love that. What I do want to ask though is, how do you work with your clients? Like, what do you do in terms of Profit First with them?
Well, I mean, initially we do a bit more of an assessment, and it's like really really like cleaning up, I guess, all the mess that's currently in the business. So It's really important to start with when a client comes on board. It's like, let's just get the foundations right. Let's, and for some clients I've had, they've really adopted it really quickly, and they've been straight on board. For others, it's been, I've almost wanted to pull my teeth out, because it's just been really hard getting them motivated, getting them moving to see, understand, change their ways. So I guess it'd be, for every client comes on board, it's been a very different journey. We do a lot of our meetings, like it's more of a one-to-one style system that I use. I don't do like group settings. And I found that works better for my clients, because I don't think that clients are going to want to share with other people they don't really know their downfalls, or maybe their ways of their areas that they need to improve on. So I do one-on-one, and I do a lot of it on Zoom. And Zoom works really well, because we can start sharing each other's screen and start looking at anything from zero to spreadsheets. I mean, I've had one client where, and you might not think it relates to Profit First, but we spent a whole session. I'll tell you about 2 sessions with this client. We spent probably like a whole month just talking about how she charges her, and just the revenue. And it was a big discussion around looking at different options. So she's got a tutoring business, right? And we're looking at the one-to-one system, which she kind of does at the moment, where for the tutoring business, and like for a tutoring business, they earn most of their money after hours. So after, say, 3:30, 4 o'clock. But for her, like, here it was, this one-to-one system wasn't earning her the money she needed to, and the business just wasn't making the profit it needed. So we would have spent, I reckon, at least like a whole day, if that, like over like, a whole month, going through spreadsheets, looking at different options, looking at what the scenarios would look like if we did groups. Okay, well, what sort of groups do they need to be? But then we've also, it wasn't just about the numbers, it was also thinking about, well, what does the end customer want? And then I was basically prompting her with questions that would then sort of go, well, then we started sort of thinking about what would work for her business. So that was one part of her journey. The other part as well was her about expanding her business and looking at whether she could afford to go into a premises. A lot of her tutoring
That's a big question to answer.
Going to people's homes, right? The staff would go to homes. So she never had this location that was hers. So I walked her through going, well, can we afford it? What do we need to do? What targets do we need to hit? And by the way, before we even got to that point of actually even thinking about the premises, we already set up 6 months before that all these different targets that she had to hit. Now it was more about confirming that she could afford that lease, but then also, even probably for me, helping her in a mindset, getting through to the point where now this is actually a point where you can afford it and you don't have to hold back. What's
I
stopping you
love
going
that.
forward? And then talking about the options of if you do have a premises, if you don't. But, even talking about, and I'm not a lawyer, but, even giving her with my understanding of how, the lease of premises, what the things that she need to consider, when she goes to negotiate the lease, what she should be looking for. If the landlord says to her, hey, you got to pay the land tax, that comes with, as an outgoing, well, I said to her, hey, you don't want to pay that. Why do you want to pay this other guy's land tax? Because he's got a lot of property.
Absolutely. And I love that because, again, profit first is, I guess, a foundational thing, but you do have to spend time on the pricing, on the questions that we ask ourselves as business owners. Can I afford this thing? What do I need to earn to be able to bring on another staff member? Can I take time off and still earn the money that I need to earn? There's all of these questions. And by working with you, they're able to answer them and in the way that serves them. So I absolutely love that. And if anyone wants to get in contact with you, what is the best way that they can do that, Nathan?
I reckon the best way these days is, you can go straight to our website, but I reckon just Google NGR Accounting and you'll find us there. You'll see all the reviews of people that we've worked with, 5-star reviews, which is great. No one's given me anything less than 5.
Love it.
Otherwise, ngraccounting.com.au.
Perfect. And we've also popped this information in the comments. And if you have any questions for Nathan, we'll share that with him so that he can respond to that. And one last thing to wrap up, Nathan. What is a tip that you would give a business owner who's considering any of the things that you've mentioned or implementing profit first?
Oh, that's a tough one. So there's the one tip that I'm going to give. Well, okay. Okay, if you're in a position where, let's say, for example, you haven't read the book and you're not a reader, my number one tip is if you're not a reader, it's okay. I'm not a reader either. I'm a listener.
Yeah.
Go to Audible, and if you walk or you just sit on the couch, whatever, doesn't matter. Get the audio, and Mike actually narrates it himself, and he's good to listen to. He won't drive you bat crazy or anything like that, but that would be my number one tip. Is really just I think the thing is we just got to get your mindset right before you start doing anything. And whether you watch videos, and whether it's profit first videos or just other general business videos, just consume as much knowledge as you can.
Love it.
Because there's a lot to know and learn in business to be successful.
Absolutely. And they don't have to do it on their own. So I love that tip. Thank you so much, Nathan, for taking the time to talk to us about your journey and what it is that you do. If anyone wants to get in contact with Nathan, please do so via the website or Googling. You can also contact us directly at Profit First Australia and New Zealand, and we will happily connect you with Nathan. So thank you again, Nathan, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Cool. Thank you for having me. I had a blast today, and I look forward to meeting a few new people.
Awesome.